Hello. Welcome to Classic Rock Facts. This is the place where we celebrate our music history in the 60s, 70s, and 80s. Check out our ever-growing library of cool videos. The year is 1967, and musically there is a lot going on. These events reshaped our musical landscape. My personal opinion is that this is the time our world went from black and white to color. Some of the noteworthy events in 1967 were: The Doors released their debut album. The Grateful Dead Janis Joplin and Jefferson Airplane joined Timothy Leary in San Francisco for The Human Be-In. The Rolling Stones appear on Ed Sullivan and Piss Him Off. The Beatles released the world's greatest single with Strawberry Fields Forever on the A-side and Penny Lane on the B-side. The Who perform for the first time in the United States. Jimi Hendrix puts out Are You Experienced? One of the first outdoor rock festivals, Monterey Pop, takes place in front of 55,000 fans. Pink Floyd released their first album. The Beatles open their Apple boutique in London, and by December, they release the Magical Mystery Tour movie and shock the public by admitting they have all taken LSD.
My full chemical name is dextrolysergic acid diethylamide tartrate 25. But as everyone knows, I'm called LSD for short, though I'm also called acid.
They're damaged for life, their brains are wrecked, they go into institutions, they're through for the rest of their life.
Amidst all this incredible talent, there was another band that ranked right up there with the others. Every teen knew them by one chord and these magic words.
Here we come, walk down the street. We get the funniest looks from everyone we meet. Hey, hey, we're the Monkees, and people say we monkey around, but we're too busy singing to put anybody down. We're just trying to be friendly. I'll come and watch sing and play. We're the young generation, and we got something to say.
In a 1977 interview, Monkees guitarist Mike Nesmith stated that his group sold 35 million albums and outsold the Beatles and the Rolling Stones combined. Here's Mike Nesmith recalling that interview.
When we sat down, he said, well, what would you like to talk about? I said, well, I'm happy to talk about anything you want to talk about, but I'm going to lie the whole time. He said, so the Monkees very popular. How many records should you guys sell? I went, I said 35 million. That's bigger than the Rolling Stones and the Beatles combined in 1960. He said, really? How many? I said 35 million. And I thought, I wonder how far this is going to make it in the media stream. Well, it turns out it's made it all the way to now.
Here are the classic rock facts. The Beatles released 2 albums in 1967. Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band and Magical Mystery Tour. They sold 34 million copies that year. The Monkees, on the other hand, released 3 albums in 12 months in 1967. More of the Monkees sold 5 million copies. Headquarters sold 2 million copies, and Pisces, Aquarius, Capricorn, and Jones sold 3 million. Final tally for 1967, Monkees 10 million, Beatles 34 million, and Mike Nesmith created an urban myth that lives on to today. Still a good sales number for a band, right? Well, in reality, the Monkees were not really a band. They were 4 actors who were cast for a TV show pilot. The pilot was picked up and ran for 2 seasons, and a total of 58 episodes. It ran from September of 1966 to March of 1968. The premise of the show was to mimic the Beatles' movie A Hard Day's Night, about a fictional rock band trying to get their big break. The roles cast were drummer, guitar, bass guitar, and lead singer. A prerequisite was experience as a musician/singer. Out of 500 men who answered that ad in 1965, the roles landed were folk musician Mike Nesmith from Texas on guitar. English TV and theatrical performer and star of the musical Oliver, Davy Jones, as lead singer and percussionist. Davy was already under contract with the studio at the time. Former star of the children's TV show Circus Boy and singer-musician Mickey Dolenz, from Hollywood, as the drummer. Mickey already had his own band called Mickey and the One-Nighters at the time. And finally Greenwich Village folk singer and multi-instrumentalist Peter Tork as bass player. Mike said Peter was the best guitarist in the band. Future Grammy winners Paul Williams, Stephen Stills and Danny Hutton auditioned but were rejected. Peter Tork had stated that if the roles were cast based on actual musical aptitude, it would have been him on lead guitar, Mike on bass, Davy on drums and Mickey as the lead singer. With roles cast, now we need music. Initially, American music publisher and producer Don Kirshner was hired as music supervisor for the show. Kirshner sourced and curated the hit songs as well as hired the session musicians who would record the songs. His stable of songwriters included Neil Diamond, Carole King, Louise Goffin, David Gates, and of course Tommy Boyce and Bobby Hart. Kirshner was responsible for I'm a Believer, Last Train to Clarksville, I Want to Be Free, A Little Bit You, Look Out Here Comes Tomorrow, She and Auntie Griselda. His creative control irritated Mike and Peter. The album More of the Monkees was even released without the band's knowledge or input. Kirshner was forced out by the time their third album, Headquarters, was recorded and released. With this move, they were finally allowed to play their own instruments and had full creative control. Their first two albums hit #1 on the charts and stayed there for months. Their TV show won 2 Emmy Awards for Outstanding Comedy Show, beating out Bewitched, Get Smart, Hogan's Heroes, and The Andy Griffith Show. Monkey Mania was in full effect. Merchandise was everywhere back then. I know I had a Monkees lunchbox, board game, school folder, and Monkey Mobile. The band had played a short promotional tour in December 1966, mostly to film content for their TV show. They had grossed over $500,000 for 6 shows. So here is a question to ask. How did 4 actors with little experience suddenly record million-selling albums, and then play the songs in a live concert setting just months later? As far as recording the albums, the band members would be handed a completed acetate so they could learn the song. The song would be written in the key of whichever monkey would be singing it with a guide vocal. They were also given sheet music to help with memorizing it. In 1967, they were expected to produce 2 new songs a week. The Monkees were given 6 months to rehearse for the upcoming live concerts. When it came to a live show, an opening act like the Sundowners would play 20 minutes. Then a second band like Jimi Hendrix would play a 30-minute set. Then the Monkees would come out, just the 4 of them, and do 20 minutes. Then the Sundowners would come out and back each solo monkey while he did a few tunes without the others. Peter would do Cripple Creek by the band on banjo. Mike would do Can't Judge a Book by its cover by Bo Diddley while playing maracas. Davy would come out in a tuxedo and do his Broadway song like I'm Gonna Build a Mountain by Anthony Newley. And then Mickey would come out and do I Got a Woman by James Brown. Mickey describes the sound of the 4 of them playing as sounding like a garage band. And it was always led by Mike Nesmith. Mickey described it as having terrible sound. There were no monitors, and the thousands of screaming young people sounded like a jet engine. The Monkees' 1967 World Tour would include concerts in the US, the UK, Australia, and Japan. But better yet, a Michigan concert was on the list for July 29, 1967 at Detroit's Olympia Stadium. That's the same arena where Elvis and the Beatles had played, and it was a few miles from my relative's house. Would I be able to go? I distinctly remember sitting in our 1966 Ford Mustang and hearing an advertisement for the concert on WKNR Keener 13 radio.
New group with the Monkees is called the Jimi Hendrix Experience, and they've joined the Monkees concert tour of the U.S. They weren't in there in the very beginning. It's just over the past couple of days now. And Keener brings you the Monkees in Detroit. On July the 29th, the Jimi Hendrix Experience will be with the Monkees. Jimmy's 22 years old and was discovered in Greenwich Village, New York, and invited by the manager of the Animals to audition for a new group being formed in England, and it happened, and the Jimi Hendrix Experience is the name of the group, and they've had a couple of top 10 hits in England. Hey Joe is one of them, and the Purple Haze is the other, and this is their first appearance in America. So a new group, Jimi Hendrix Experience, traveling with the Monkees.
I wondered who this Jimi Hendrix guy was. Was he like the Cowsills? I had seen them at the Michigan State Fair bandshell. Either way, I would ask my mom if she would drop me off at Olympia for the concert. But a fatal mistake was made. I had an older brother who promptly informed my mother that Jimi Hendrix would smash his guitar and light it on fire at his concerts. But before any decision was made, the city of Detroit erupted into the bloodiest riots in U.S. history.
4 days of rioting, looting, and arson rocked the city of Detroit in the worst outbreak of urban racial violence this year. Entire blocks of homes become infernos. At least 36 are killed, more than 2,000 injured, and damage topped the $500 million mark. Governor Romney declares a state of emergency, requests federal troops, and 5,000 paratroopers reinforce the National Guard, state and city police. The city's industry and business are severely affected, and a tight curfew is ordered in the Motor Center. A besieged city of guerrilla warfare. Sniper groups use day and night hit-and-run tactics before tanks move in to curb their window and rooftop barrage. Wreckage is everywhere. Civil rights leaders make a joint condemnation of the violence and call for an end to the rioting. President Johnson, using firm words, urges the nation's citizens to support the maintenance of law and order.
I know that the vast majority of Negroes and whites are shocked and are outraged by them. Pillage, looting, murder, and arson have nothing to do with civil rights.
After decades of racial inequality with jobs, education, and policing, residents finally expressed their frustration. Violence began on July 23rd and lasted until July 28th, when President Lyndon Johnson sent the United States Army's 82nd and 101st Airborne Divisions into the city to regain control. I remember seeing armored vehicles loaded with armed soldiers driving down our neighborhood streets. The aftermath was 43 dead, 1,100 injured, 7,000 arrested, and over 400 buildings burned to the ground. Olympia Stadium was right in the area of the violence. And because of this, the Monkees concert scheduled for July 29th was postponed until August 13th, and any chance of me going to the concert was now out of the question. By the time the Monkees concert took place at Olympia Stadium in August, the rioting was over. The Jimi Hendrix Experience began opening for the Monkees on July 8th. The Monkees were fans of Jimmy's music. Peter had even invited him to stay at his mansion in Laurel Canyon. They spent time on a chartered yacht and jammed backstage, and during the tour the Monkees would sneak into the audience to watch his set. However, the fans, who were mostly in their teens, would chant, "We want the Monkees." The Daughters of the American Revolution protested outside the concerts. After the Forest Hills shows, Jimmy asked to be removed from the tour. Within a week, Jimmy was back headlining in New York. Here is a little taste of what thousands of teenage Monkee fans would have experienced when Jimmy walked out, cranked his Marshall stacks to 10, lit up a smoke, and warned fans up front to cover their ears.
Plug your ears! What's up for your ears? What's up for your ears, okay?
Another interesting fact about this 1967 Monkees tour was their innovative use of a large backdrop behind the stage onto which video clips were projected, something that is commonplace today. Here's the clip that they would play before they took the stage.
Hello. This is the last show of the season, and we'd really like to thank you for watching. A lot of groovy things have happened to us this year, and we really appreciate it.
Have a dime for a cup of coffee?
David. That's David Jones.
He's a young thingy, don't you know?
You want to go help an old man across the street?
No.
Well, why don't you go help an old man across the street?
Anyway, just stay tuned. We think we have something real groovy for you. We want you to see what happens to us on the day of a concert.
It's a night of a concert.
The night of a concert.
Night of a concert. You'd be a good fellow if you just build up your self-confidence.
The Monkees' 1967 tour was quite successful. However, the actors themselves continued to increase their creative demands. By the third season, the producers wanted to change it into a variety show or a sketch-themed comedy show. The show was canceled in 1968. They had also begun development of a full-length film called Head, which did poorly at the box office. Here is the trailer.
Not since the 10 Commandments. If you liked Covered Wagon, Beyond, From Here to Eternity, they can't be the Marx Brothers, they're too young. Columbia Pictures presents The Monkees. Mickey, Davy, Mike, Peter in Head. That's right, Head. What's it all about? Only Victor Mature's hairdresser knows for sure.
Are you kidding?
Looks like a nice guy, and I like his smile. Go on, see if you can hit me, just once, just once.
Don't, Davy. Please don't.
Head is the most extraordinary adventure western comedy love story, mystery drama, musical documentary satire ever filmed.
Lastly, a common question is, what did the Beatles think of the Monkees? Did they ever interact? Well, here is a recording of Paul McCartney in 1967 giving his opinion of the Monkees in a fan club phone interview. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to check out our library of over 40 classic rock fact videos. I guarantee you will find something you never knew.
Can I gotta ask questions because I don't. The Monkees.
Yeah.
We personally, Brett, we don't.
They're nice, yeah.
It's like us.
They're okay.
They're trying to be you, and it gets.
No, they're not. You know, the thing is, they're not really trying to be us, but everybody keeps telling them they are.
Oh, but they.
Pull it back.
They are. It's like upsetting when MCA goes and does the same thing. You know, like, we left, when did we leave? On Thursday, and the Wednesday, we have our radio survey, and they made the both of you sure shot. It doesn't, like, it probably doesn't bother you. You don't care anymore. I'm sure you've passed that point.
No, the thing is, all that kind of bit, all that bit about who's fighting who, isn't true anymore. You know, that used to be true in the early days when we were trying to make money. Because, you know, we were a bit worried about who was getting top and who was getting second on it. That doesn't matter anymore, that, you know. The thing is that if the Monkees weren't around, there'd be no one to watch on TV. You know, and I want to watch TV. And I want to see a nice program, and their program is better than most things on TV, you know.
It's like watching you, isn't it?
Well, yeah. No,
well, that's
all right.
nice.
That's okay.
Oh, we haven't.
No, I like them, you know, I really do. They're nice. But they've got so worried now because everyone says to them, well, you like the Beatles and it's crummy, and you don't play your own instruments. But so what? That doesn't matter.
They're taking the place of something.
Yeah, they're great. They're great. That's a great compliment. You've heard that one about flattery being what is it?
Yeah.
Imitation being flattery often. But that's beautiful. That because I like the show, fellas. Dig what you're doing.
Dig what they're doing. Yeah. We don't. Like it's a conflict between the older and the younger.
You're still fighting it.
We'll fight it.
There's no need. Thanks. What is this?
The Monkees' 1967 concert at London's Wembley Arena was sponsored by Beatles manager Brian Epstein. The Beatles had sent flowers to the Monkees. Mickey had visited Paul's home in February of 1967 where they got stoned and watched TV. Mickey then was at Abbey Road for the recording of Good Morning, Good Morning. Mike had been at Abbey Road Studios to watch them record A Day in the Life. Peter had visited Ringo's home to jam with Ringo and George. Peter played banjo on George's first solo album. And let's not forget the Pizza Hut commercial.
I'd do it in a second. The fans will dig it. They've waited long enough. I've just got to get the other lads to agree. I think I can convince them. I'll say, lads, the time has come to eat our pizza. Crust first.
Stuffed crust pizza from Pizza Hut with cheese baked into a new, thinner crust. You'll want to eat it crust first. Now with free garlic dipping sauce.
Good idea, Ringo.
Yeah. You will get the chance to
Not
see
the lads I had in
Monkey
mind.
song as they
Large,
walk
just
through the
$9.99.
People say we monkey around. We're too busy singing to put anybody down. Hey, hey, we're the Monkees. People say we monkey around. We're too busy singing.